Hi, this is Cher. I hope you're having a great day, morning, evening, wherever you are in the world. I have been guided to come on live and talk about something now, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with that in just a second. But I am a yoga teacher, meditation instructor, a Reiki master, and a continuing education provider for Yoga Alliance. So it's good to meet all of you. For those of us who've not yet met, pleased. I do own the rights to the music you hear playing in the background. I composed and recorded that in 528 hertz, so you're receiving healing energies from it as it plays in the background. So, all right, what I'm going to talk about, what I'm guided, to talk about today is the concept of Ahimsa. So Ahimsa is non-violence. So what I will be talking about is the way, what it means in context, what it means in application, in theory and in application. So we'll be talking about those things. So basically, Ahimsa is the concept of nonviolence. So this is nonviolence. This has to do with having nonviolent thoughts and actions. So nonviolent thoughts, and so this is about respecting all living beings. This is about respecting all living things and honoring that, and avoiding any kind of violence associated with these other beings. So that actually includes ourselves. So how have we been violent toward ourselves? And how have we been violent toward others? In not only deed, but in thought. So, yeah. There's a lot to wrap our heads around with that. So, for example, when we're talking about Ahimsa, nonviolence toward others, then we are talking about violent deeds, of course, anything that would cause harm to another living being. And so this includes, physical harm, but it also includes psychological, emotional harm. So it's anything that would cause harm to another living thing. So that is the violence indeed. The violence in action. Ahimsa, again, is the avoidance of that. And it is a Sanskrit term. And so there are traditions within Buddhism and Hinduism and Jainism with this. So yeah, it's a critical, important part of that. As a yoga instructor, I took a vow of Ahimsa when I did my yoga teacher training, and I take that very seriously. Nonviolence toward myself and others. Having that in mind, regardless of what it is that I am doing. But toward others, the thoughts, that would include negative judgments, criticisms of others, things we think about others, that are negative. All of those things would come under a violent thought. Of course, wanting to do harm, thinking those thoughts to another being would fall under that realm as well. But it can go to a more subtle level wherein we are thinking something negative about a particular person, or judging them, criticizing them. So all of those things, if we're thinking those things, that is violent thought. That is violent thought. And if we're actually saying these things to another human being, even if the intention is not to do harm, just causing that harm. So it's important with the concept of Ahimsa to keep in mind what might hurt another and avoid it. So that is in our thoughts, again, which only we know, and Creator, our thoughts and our actions. So the things we say to one another, that would be an action. But the thought would have preceded it. So if there is, if we are honoring Ahimsa, those words won't be spoken. Those words of judgment won't be spoken because they won't have been thought. So this philosophy and concept and practice of Ahimsa is incredibly important to our own peace and the peace of others. So with the Ahimsa, honoring ourselves in that way, that means there's no negative self-talk. We don't think negatively about ourselves, our bodies, our abilities, and so there's no judgment, there's no criticism. And this can go into yoga practices, not judging ourselves for not being able to do this pose right. And anything else that we are doing in life, with any other projects or ventures that we are exploring, we need to be kind to ourselves. And Ahimsa teaches that and a way to practice that. So Ahimsa, again, is not thinking negatively of ourselves, not blaming ourselves, not criticizing ourselves, nonviolence toward our bodies. That means listening to the body. If we are starting to feel like we need rest, honoring that. Avoiding violence toward the body, not pushing ourselves when we're feeling like we need to honor that and rest. And so that is important. That is one way that we can do that, is simply by listening to our bodies, taking care of our bodies, taking care of our minds when our minds start to go down negative loops, catching ourselves and pulling ourselves back. Was that thought toward myself that I just had, was it harmful? Would I be comfortable thinking that about another? Would I be comfortable saying those things? So that's the non-violence there. That's the avoiding violence. Violence toward ourselves would be speaking negatively to ourselves. And having a violent thought toward oneself doesn't mean that one would want to do harm to oneself. That's not what it means. It means anything negative that we're telling ourselves about us not being enough. Anything, it's like, oh, I should have done better. Oh, I should have done X, Y, Z. That is a violent thought toward ourselves. And when we extend it outward, then it is a violent thought toward another human or another, like an animal. And again, this encompasses all living beings. So non-violent toward the earth, non-violent toward ourselves, our minds, our spirits, our bodies, honoring our bodies, respecting our bodies. And so is this forgiveness and understanding. Not getting angry, for example, when we're not feeling well. Just allowing that to be and rest and honor that. So those are ways that we can avoid violence toward ourselves and others. And that is a violent thought and deed. And of course, not engaging in any kind of conflict, not engaging in conflicts with one another, just pulling back, observing, allowing the situation to be and unfold, and then approaching it with a kind, gentle communication rather than combative language, rather than an argument. Most arguments never have to happen, right? They can be avoided. So we can communicate in a gentle manner by just taking a moment and allowing ourselves to process, allowing ourselves to think, allowing ourselves to be calm and remain in a state of calm. And the more we practice Ahimsa with ourselves in thought and action, the easier it becomes to practice it with others. It becomes a natural extension of who we are. It becomes our nature. It becomes our nature. Yeah. Because when we are feeling safe inside ourselves and peaceful inside ourselves, then we exude that outward to others. So I hope you enjoyed this brief explanation of Ahimsa. If you would like to join me for online yoga, meditation courses, you can connect with me at Sherri Yoga and Reiki on Facebook. You can send me an email at sherrijens@gmail.com, or check out my YouTube channel where this is going to be uploaded. And I'll also do intuitive readings if you're interested in that. So that's Sherri Tarot and Intuitive Guidance. So I have Sherri writer page as well. So all of that is on Facebook. You can connect with me there on Instagram. So I wish you well on your journeys. Again, if you would like to connect with me and talk to me about the services or classes, or learn more about yoga and the philosophies behind it, so much more than standing on your head. Yoga is about so much more. I wish you well on your journeys. Again, if you want to connect with me, just message me, PM me, Sherri Jens, or at my pages there. Much love to you. I hope that this was helpful. Namaste. Also have online chakra healing course and a tarot course for you to learn to read tarot by yourself. Well, for yourself. I'll help you. Much love. Namaste.